weeks on the Sunday Race Club, and great to see him here. Henrik van der Zandt is in here, part and parcel of the chasing group. JD Miller is there as well as Luke Allport, but they are chasing the two riders up the road on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left-hand side of your screen, it is indeed Category 3, and Rick van Erck, Patrick Bloom, back into the group.
So the riders on the move onto the climb. You can see the riders really pushing on Category 4. Remember, it's a two-part climb, a two-stage climb here today on the Corsica. You kick up the first part, we drop back down and give away all that height that you worked hard to gain. And then you have to kick once again up to the top of the climb. Good to see that Cy Bradley is in this mixing Category 4, one of the coaches on the My Whoosh live coaching. Make sure you jump on to live. So this is going to be absolutely key. Can he walk the walk and not the walk here today? He's got to be able to do the business here today on the climb. Can he ride the ride? Probably the most appropriate thing here today. He's certainly been telling people how to do it, and he's been doing that himself. You can see that when you jump onto the live coaching. Now, don't forget, live coaching, we mentioned this in the break. We've also mentioned it in the women's show. Don't forget, Tuesday, live coaching with the one and only Peter Sagan, one of the riders who is going to be taking you through the screens. You can jump on board there. I know there are a few people there for the cafe ride when he was doing a little bit of a chat with Cy. That you can jump on board and ride with him in a coaching session. That's going to be happening the next few Tuesday evenings if you are on CET or on UTC or on GMT or something in the middle of the time zones around the globe. It'll be a little bit later on in the day if you're on Gulf Standard Time. Now, time's ticking on because we've got our category 6, 5, 4 and 3 away. We have two more race categories to go. Category 2 in green and category 1 in yellow. Category 2 in the green. Another of our big race fields here today, not as big as categories 3 and 4. Some big squads in here as well. The Abu Dhabi team, Ivan Nuki and Mads Buster. Don't forget, if you want to catch up with what Ivan Nuki is all about, go have a watch back of last week's show.
Oh, the spotlight.
The spotlight was one truly on Ivan Nuki. A big thank you to him. Abus Esports, they're represented by Matthias Vanhey and Olivier Simmons. We've got the UAE clan team, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic and SS all in action. Don't forget the Smarty squad. They're our biggest squad here today. 5 riders: Angus Benson, Christoph Thiem, Ricardo Betty, Moritz Ritter and Simon Volta. And of course we have got the UAE Falcons, Ahmed El Tanaji and Zaid Hamdan also taking it to a race start. The Team Ice Cream, Benedetti, I think, should be on the start list with the Hitman's Ross Fawcett, along with CD Cycling Team's Daniel Pitto and BHERT Stasko, but they are just riders of one rather than a team of more than one.
I'd like to know whether the Smarties represent multicoloured chocolate confectionery or whether they are smart and they use their heads.
Well, like smart ties. Maybe. So they wear a tie and they're smart with they wear smart ties. Smart ties, smarties. No. Okay. Let's get back to our riders in the squad rather than their sartorial elegance. And so we get ready for race start. We're in with Matthias Vanhey, the clock counting down. Our penultimate race category ready to go. Last chance to qualify, last chance to get your second ride in that will take you into our team final where the team prizes come into play as well. Time to go racing. Category 2 away. We're in with Vanhey as he kicks down on those pedals. You can see him in person. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the avatars on the right-hand side of your screen as they head out and away. Quick reminder, remember, these riders, their jerseys will change to skin suits if they are leading in the green skin suit competition, aka the sprint competition. 2 sprints against City Sprint and the Thistlehoven Moen Sprint. And, of course, the climbs competition. 3 climbs, Kortekeer climb, the Eichenberg climb, and the Quermont climb, counting for those 50% of today's climbs, counting for the climbs competition. That is for a polka dot skin suit, the arches that indicate the start and finish of each of those segments, and it's fastest through the segment, green for sprint, and guess what? Polka dot for the climb competition.
Yeah. Well, Trojanowski took first place here in category 2 last week. Ruben Dont took second, and the climb competition overall. Gledness, Mendakowicz, and Graves rounded out the top 5. Simmons took the sprint competition, but we've got other riders in here as well. Andrew Downey is here, Daniel Hoyas, Daniel Tidholm, David Darn. Who else have we got in here? Well, I tell you what, we've got Jakob Bjorklund. He's in here. James Krasnich, Jonas Bjarhed is in here as well. Khan Kayan, Lasse Hansen is here. Peter Millerstick. We've got the 3 Millersticks here. Lyndon in category 1, Peter in category 2, and Riley in category 6. It's a family affair, and we've got Samuel, Josh, and Tatu Koivunen as well.
It's a big race field, full of talent. One very talented rider, Ivan Yuki. Interesting, different shot of Ivan today. Full on head-on shot, looking very low on the bike as always. The aerodynamics clearly not affecting him. He's got the shirt open, nice and warm, I'm sure, at the moment. In the pain cave, out of the saddle, and just sitting nicely in that pack. And you can see there, just making sure he stays focused on the screen. Afternoon, because I know that it's afternoon for Ivan at the moment. Inspirational coach for the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club. If you go to Abu Dhabi, go down, support the club, get yourself down to Hidaria Island, get yourself down to the coffee shop, go have a look at the history. You can always stick your head around the door at Wolfie's as well, because Wolfie's got a concession in the Abu Dhabi cycling shop as well as their big shop next door. And in fact, if you are down there and you can't get to the side of the road to watch the Abu Dhabi stages or the Dubai stages, if you're in either of those cities in the UAE, you can go watch the race live at the bike shop. What better combination can you find other than going out and riding?
Well, can I just take a look at where we are in this category 2 race at the moment? Trojanowski, last week's winner, is 12 seconds off the front of this pack, already round the bend, out of sight, out of mind. Matthias Van He pushing on here through the sprint. I don't think he's pushing on through the sprint. I think he's pushing on to catch Trojanowski. What a start to this category 2 race. We're chatting away, and this rider, Marchan Trojanowski, is the rider off the. Stop laughing. Off the front side, Carradine pushing on to Olivier Simmons.
I promise you, it's nothing I'm doing in the studio that's making Emma laugh. I'm literally just stood here drinking coffee while she's continuing.
The rider setting the fastest time in category 2 through the sprint, Olivier Simmons, putting in a phenomenal time, but only good enough for 8th overall so far.
Got to do better than that, Ollie. Meanwhile, just in with Sarkading, I did wave Sud as he gave us a wave there on camera, and the rider with the live feed as well. Yeah, it's a great way of getting that extra information when you're racing. Has Michael Vink got a screen going? I'm sure he has. He's certainly got the legs to answer the moves. Let's have a run through our squads first of all. The Alpha Jaw team, 3 riders here declared. That's lined up with Jesse, Mikhail Kaminsky, and Ollie Jones. The Boss Moves only squad, 2 riders on their squad today, Michael Vink and Said Safazadi. We've got the CD Racing team, 1 rider for them, Mikel Machado of Portugal. The Farmworth squad has the most riders in it today that have declared. That's 4 riders. Bjorn Andreasen, Hayden Pucker, Johan Noren, Mikael Plantero. Don't discount the Wenger boys, Arne Jacobs and Vidar Mayer. Good to see that we've got Mod in it here as well as Al Thebe and Al Halami as well. However, it's time to go racing. Last race start. The final race start in our final qualifier in February for 2025. We're in with Said Safrazedi, a man who has been so consistent in his racing. He's a rider who you can never discount from a top 5 performance and being in with the prize money. Let's see what he's going to do today. Can he get himself back up to the front?
Well, as the Category 1 pack roll, 28 riders on start sheets, 5 teams. Now, Joel Lewis has come up from Category 2. Last week, we saw him put in a massive effort to close the gap down. It was absolutely eye-watering, and he's been rewarded with an uplift into Category 1 today. Arnie Jacobs is on the screen as well. Now, Ollie Jones took second overall, Lionel Vujasin fourth, Stefan van Elst fifth. Jason Osborne versus Michael Vink. Osborne not here today. Racing gravel this weekend. Learnt a couple of lessons. Did Jason Osborne
So he's
racing
riding gravel. Racing gravel.
Racing gravel. He learnt a couple of lessons. One of those being running in road shoes with road pedals through muddy puddles is not a great option, particularly when you try and get your cleat back in.
What?
So I think lesson number one for Jason Osborne: mountain bike shoes and pedals next time.
Yeah, not many, Benny. I tell you, someone who could be handing out the lessons, Lyndon Milostich. Lyndon was racing on the road, got a second in the road race, I think it was yesterday. Really, really good performance by him, riding for his new team. So congratulations on that. Great way to hit out for your new team. Taking away podium position. Great result for him. At the moment, the top spot on the podium, if we were to stop the race right now, would be Bjorn Andreasen, who went out on 7.5 watts per kilo, wanting to rip it up from the start. And we've got riders off the back of the group already. We're 1.5k into what is a 45-kilometre race, gents.
Let's get it started.
I don't think you need to say that to Mr. Andreasen. He got started the moment we started to get wound up here. We're running into the sprint. Who's going to want to take away top spot in this sprint? Remember, each of our segments, there is a prize available for you for one rider only per category per segment.
Well, whilst we're talking about prizes, can I just congratulate Thomas Thrall on defending his Canadian National Championships title last Sunday. So congratulations to Tom Thrall. Resplendent yet again in the Canadian National Cycling Esports Champions jersey for 2025.
Absolute superstar. I mean, you certainly wouldn't ever want to. That's one man you want to leave behind and never take into a sprint.
Don't take
now, talking about sprints, Jesper Paradine's putting the big kick in here.
Look at that.
There was no back to come to the front pretty much. That was about pure power going down the road. So let's see where they're going to end up when it comes in. Emma's just watched the numbers go up onto her screens. Has Paradine's done enough? It looks like he has.
I'm going to give you this in reverse order. Paul Skierski, 14.3 watts per kilo through the sprint. Vidal Mer, 14.5. Jasper Paradines, 15.7 watts per kilo through the sprint. 1,129 watts average to set 18.5. The fastest time today and to take the win in Category 1. Olivier Simmons takes the win in Category 2. Rick Van Erck, fabulous, second fastest time overall, that from Rick Van Erck in Category 3. Kristen Spiedel in Category 4, 19.2. Diego Navarro in Category 5, 19.6. And Marius Fossid in Category 6 takes the fastest time there. I'm just doing a double check, all of those riders, I think, with the exception of Navarro, over 1,000 watts.
Big power, big sprint, big kick. Paradines keeps the pressure on. They're still chasing Andreasen, who's got that gap at the front, going for a solo ride. He's on the left-hand side of your screen, down the road. The dot in the distance. On the right-hand side of your screen, Category 2 are on to climb number 1. This is the climb of the Kortekia. They are here on the Kortekia climb number 1. However, there's some way to go for our Category 1 riders to go over the big bridge here, working to keep Andreasen's gap minimised down here. We're just in with Lionel Vujasin as they go through town here. We see him in person on the left-hand side of your screen. The avatar on the right-hand side. The escapees just up the road at the moment, but this is about pulling that gap down. It's about pulling the brake back, not giving away too much ground. Anybody riding in Category 1 is a danger to the rest of these riders because it is such a star-studded, packed race field. That's left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen, Mr. X100, the rider we're focused on in with this group as we come on to the steeper sections of this climb. It gets steeper as we go up. There's a slight pause at the moment before we go on to the upper slope. You can see that gradient dropping to 1.8 watts per kilo there. So what's 1.8%? That's how you measure gradient on the way up. 1.8%. Before we go up, we're already up to 7, but the steep step that's coming is the one that really could do the damage. At the moment, this is the leading group. 2 riders distanced off the back of the pack. Ritter and Ospina, the 2 in shots. There are riders even further back than that, but at the moment, this is the big push. 1 rider clear at the front, according to our screens. That's really interesting that in theory, we've got 1 rider breaking away at the front of that group. Not sure who that is. We'll try and grab a shot of them at some point as we go back with the leaders on the left of your screen. Vidal Mayer, Bjorn Andreasen, 10 seconds clear of Kaminski, Jacobs, and Van Els.
Yeah, and that's really interesting to see. But over the quarter tier already are category 3, 4, 5, and 6. Patrick Bloom setting the fastest time up the quarter tier in category 3. Nick Squilari setting the fastest time in category 4 over the quarter tier. Arthur Sciorra setting the fastest time in category 5. And Dylan Kennett setting the fastest time in category 6.
Well done to everybody taking away prizes so far. Don't forget there is plenty more prizes up for grabs on the duration of the race. Each of our time segments with a prize. The overall in each of our competitions with prizes as well. We take a multi-view of our race at the moment. Category 1, top left-hand side of your screen. Category 2, well, they're going to be working their way down. And you can see Mr. X100 working his way through this field as it's strung out going up the climb. Category 3, they're on the far side on the descent. Category 5, the riders, category 6, the riders that we're looking at the moment, bottom right hand side, well down the road. In with category 2, going over the top of the part 1. This is key now. Chase on now. Daniel Hoyas, Mr. X100, Ivan Nuki, and co. They will get themselves into the group. They've got to keep kicking. They've got to keep on pushing. They do not want that group to go. The pack in front have the draft advantage, and this is now about making sure that you put that dig in. Mr. X100 coming at 7 watts per kilo. About to go on to Ivan Nuki's wheel here. They're on this descent down. It will level, and this is where they really need to push on. You can see this move coming down here. Absolutely a key here as they go down. Nuki now winds it up. I think they're waiting for Mr. X100. The pair of riders now need to work together to get back on. He gave a little bit of draft advantage, and this is absolutely key.
For me, Ivan Nuki, absolutely phenomenal climber on the long climbs. The short, sharper climbs, sorry, Ivan, I'm not sure whether they suit him as well. But I have to say his resilience and his determination and his absolute attitude to ride and race, never discount him.
No, I wouldn't want to go on to any kind of climb with Ivan. I think he'd leave me for dead on any of those. And I think showing there a bit of team spirit there just to help back Mr. X100, who a regular visitor to go see Ivan now and race and ride. So the riders on the way in to part 2, the second part of this climb, and the front of this race is fractured all over the place in category 2. The climb here, you can see we've got a steep kick, it levels and then it kicks again as we go up to the top of part number 2. Looking back here, you can see those riders about to make contact. Miss X100 along with Ivan Nuki, along with Hoyos, but as they're about to make contact, here we go, we're on part 2 of the climb. The front of this race stretched and spread out at the moment as they make their way up. Remember, it's a tight left-hand turn, and then the banner comes. They've got some distance to do, but they've got some riders to close down as well. Our original escapee on the very front of this race, losing distance, losing ground, and losing advantage as this big pack start to push just in with SS at the moment, in with this pack. As they go on the climb, you can see the red starting to kick in as these riders continue to push the way up the climb here.
Yeah, X100 is not going to get back on at this pace at the moment, but Graves is there. Khan is there. Khan Kane is in the mix. And the rider who went out hard first thing, Trojanowski. Well, I wonder if he's still the rider on the front, but I tell you something, they are pulling him back and they are absolutely motoring. Ivan Nuki X100 are not going to get back onto the group, but they may well come together and be able to work together to close the gap down. Matthias Vanhe, who we were in with earlier on stage, 23 seconds back now. Daniel Tidholm, Daniel Hoyas there as well, looking like they may form a group further back on the road. This first climb absolutely taken its toll on the Category 2 riders. Mendakowicz, Fawcett, Morel, Kointsnen and Khan Kayan, the 5 quickest riders over the top side. Carradine is there, Bert Kayan is there. The Kayan brothers go well in Belgium. It really, really does suit them. Allenjung, Glednis, all in the mix, and I'm looking at it at the moment and I'm thinking, well, X100, who we are in with at the moment, who is 7 seconds back on the leading group, is the 26th rider over the top. So 24 riders still in that leading group in Category 2.
Chase on behind, the pressure on. People have to try and close this down. This is the work that's being done here by Mr. X100, racing to get back onto the wheels. This is where it's critical, making sure you don't panic if you get dropped, making sure that you stay within your limits on the steep section so that you then have the opportunity and the energy levels left to come back on. So after being dropped off that main pack, we're going to see Mr. X100 get onto the wheels. Nuki's at 16 seconds here, and that is a big gap. That could be game over, but we know he's got the endurance to get back on. Can he get back into this pack? We're currently in with Che Howeiler.
Oh.
You can see the effort there written all over the face of Che as he is in this group. The chasers are coming behind. There's a little bit of a drop down to come where the speed will go up and that draft advantage will increase. Keeping in this group is key, and gaps can go at any time. You can see the fractures occurring on the way through here. So dangerous as they make the way in. You can't afford to relax until you're almost at the very front of this group.
Well, let's be realistic. They've gone up and over the Quarter-Kier. That's a 2-stage climb. And then they've attacked on the flat section on the top. They are not even on the descent yet. You know, can you imagine your mentality of, I've got to work to the top of the climb. I've got to work great, I'm with the leading group at the top of the climb. And then the attacks just keep coming. The strength of these Category 2 racers, phenomenal. My word of the day.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Is that your word of the day?
I think so. I'm not going to say it very often, but yes, I think this performance at the moment on the right-hand side of your screen, this race is phenomenal.
You know, when you say phenomenal, only one thing occurs to me.
What?
It's the news that Tadej Pogacar might be riding Paris-Roubaix and the images of him in the Roubaix-Arenberg Forest for the UAE team. That is going to be some exciting racing. So when you talk about
Paris-Roubaix, I have to say, is one of the races of the year to watch.
It is. There's some absolute classics out there. I'm absolutely loving the fact that, of course, in the MyWish studios when we were down there and watching the esports world championships back in October, coming and watching the racing and saying how much he enjoyed it.
Yeah, but do you know what one of the best things about Paris-Roubaix is?
Go on.
The fact they put the goats on the cobbles before the race to clear the grass.
I'm not sure if Ricardo Panizza can tell us that there have been goats on the cobbles of the Quarter-Kier climb. At the moment, we certainly can see the cobbles underneath the wheels of our riders in the Category 1 lead group. But as to whether they have been grazed clean by goats, I'm not so sure.
Well, on the right-hand side of your screen, that is the Category 2 race going through the Tissenhoven-Morven Sprint. On this screen, however, we are watching the Category 1 race unfold. Stefan van Elst, Mikhail Kaminski, Ollie Jones, Ricardo Panizza, Christoph Kroll have just all gone past Jakob Bjorklund in Category 2. They've got to the top of the Quarter-Kier, and Stefan van Elst hits the top spot. It is a rider who have we seen just getting getting better and better again, and I do love watching him race. So Stefan van Elst's fastest time in Category 1, up the Kortekeer, 6 minutes 13 seconds. 6 minutes 41 seconds, Maciej Mendakowicz in Category 2. Patrick Bloom, 6 minutes 58 seconds in Category 3. Nick Squilari, 7:16, Category 4. Arthur Sciorra, Category 5, 7 minutes 46. And with 8 minutes 25, fastest time in Category 6, Dylan Kennett.
Really good moves there. Fastest time set by the Iceman, Stefan van Elst. But you saw as he came through, he was part of a driving line of riders. A big chain really putting the pressure on there. They've distanced riders. You've got Group 1 clear at the front. You've got 2 riders sandwiched between them and a chasing group behind. This is going to be really, really key. What can they do? Can they open this gap? Can they keep it clear? Remember, we are missing the world champion who has been so unbeatable when he's been out and racing. Only been really able to challenge Osborne. Osborne not with us today. Back in with Category 2, in with Simon Volter at the moment from Germany. Tucked down in the pain cave, out of the saddle at the moment. Really working well in this group of riders. You can see the race fracturing in pretty much all of our race categories. This is the second group on the road. They're almost one group. The riders sandwiched in between, but you can see the pressure is on to get into the pack before we reach the final base of this descent. The climb of the Kortekeer leads us into the Thistlehoven Molden Sprint, and that is coming up very, very shortly. We're at 14.6k. Sorry, we're on the other side of it. We're at 14.6k. Just got to drop in our way down here. Let's see how this group go. If you're not in this group before you're on that long flat run across to the Valkenburg, you're going to be in trouble. One rider versus all these and the pace that they're moving.
Category 2 pack has not settled. Settle and Category 2 are just two things that have just not gone together today at all. Frederick Gombert doing a great job getting onto the back of Christoph Thiemswil. Phil Graves is in there as well as Simon Volter. But they are not the group who are leading on the road. The group ahead of them are. They've got to close the gap down or that pack will just roll away. Well, Trojanowski, Gledness, Morel, Mendakowicz and Koinsinen are in the leading group, and I think the juncture is about to be made. The question is, will all of those riders in the chase group get on, or will some of them not make it? In Category 1, they are up and over the Kortekeer, and the group at the front of this race is big. Jones, Kroll, Millerstick, Tugels, Andreasen, Panizza, all in here as they come into the Thistlehoven Molden Sprint.
Really, really key to be in position in the right place at the right time. Go on, Emma.
Sprint goes through. So we're taking a look, and it's Kaminski who's launched the sprint at 10 watts per kilo. Kaminski went from the back of the group to the front of the group. Will it do him any good in the sprint competition overall? Because Jasper Paradians is in the sprint leaders skin suit. Vidal Mayer came through in second place last time round. Vidal Mayer's just put in another strong performance. But I think Paradians, who's not in that leading group, may well outsprint Mayer when he comes through, because at the moment Mayer is not at the top of the table. The fastest time in the sprint at the moment, Brent Sensing in Category 5. Yes, Category 5 holding the fastest time in the sprint with 18.4. Rick van Erck, Category 3, 18.5. Jakob Bjorklund, 18.9. In fact, Vidal Mayer's time of 19.7 doesn't even, well, only puts him fifth out of all of those leaders, because Gomez also faster at 19.4.
News just coming in. Hot off the presses. Jasper Paradians just coming through the sprint, puts third best time of anybody behind Sensing and Van Erck. That means he's going to take away top spot. He'll rob that from there, and he will take away, I think, the sprint win overall.
In Category 1.
In Category 1, so he's taken both sprints off the back of the pack, racing through individually. Really good ride by him.
Competitions within competitions.
It is. It means that you can sprint at the back, and you've still got something to keep racing for. Maybe if you're distanced off that on the climb, and gives that extra added dimension. Now, let's go in with Category 2. We'd seen the leading group go through. We'd seen it break, drop, swell. We are seeing at the moment this the leading group together of 4 riders behind the rest of that pack. it's almost apart. It keeps coming back together. It keeps reforming, and it keeps on breaking. The leader stroke winner of this race really has to come from this pack for me. If you've been dropped by this stage, you're probably not going to be in there at the finish, because no matter what your powers of recovery, you're not going to move in front. Meanwhile, front of the Category 1 race, Mikhail Kaminsky going through that sprint, continuing to stretch his legs out at the moment. He's got 4 seconds on Andreasen, Pucker, Kroll, and the rest of the Category 1 bunch. Not enough, you would suggest, to take it into the
But not
next
when
climb.
Andreasen is kicking at 8 watts per kilo behind and Pucker's just jumped on his wheel. So Kaminsky out front at the moment, was looking for a little sneaky getaway, but Andreasen, well, he's got his wits about him today and he's not letting anybody go down the road.
No, nobody's going to go off down the road down there, I don't think. I just can't see that's going to be the case. But let's see how the riders go. So at the moment, just on the climb here of the Eichenberg climb, this is finishing at 29 kilometers. Dylan Kennett goes over the top, leads them through the polka dot skin suit wearer for taking climb number 1, does the same in climb number 2, goes through taking away the fastest time at the moment. Remember, the results are live. In Category 6, they're the furthest riders down the road. They are coming, they're heading towards basically 2/3 race distance in about 800 meters time.
Well, Dylan Kennett sets the fastest time in Category 6. Up the Eichenberg climb, Drew Abbott, Simon Llewellyn, Amadeo Rizzari, and Teron, the riders chasing. So one rider out front, which is Kennett, but only just 8 seconds he is clear of the chasing 4.
They're on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Bottom left-hand side of your screen, you've got Category 3, top right-hand side Category 2, and top left-hand side Category 1. Category 1 on the flatlands, heading across from the first third in towards the second third, the middle sections of this race route. Category 2, they are currently on the way up the Valkenberg. If you cast your mind back to that course profile, the central third of this course, 3 hills, Valkenberg, Eichenberg Hill, then the categorized Eichenberg climb. We're on number 1 of those 3 climbs. This is the Valkenberg. There's a big long flat section at the top, which does give you the opportunity to get on easier than if we go over the Eichenberg Hill, where it rolls over, and certainly much easier than the Eichenberg climb, when you get to the top, you almost tip like you're on a seesaw and you're pointing back down again very quickly.
Well, right-hand side of your screen, Category 2. Left-hand side of your screen, Category 1. And Kaminsky is back in the pack. Paniza Yasin, Jones, Kroll, Pucker, Safrazadi, all in the group. Good to see Sai Safrazadi after those early issues getting back on board. Class rider, Sai Safrazadi. And fabulous, because he jumps in and drops into the live coaching sessions. It's fabulous to see him there.
It jumps in live.
He does indeed.
Excellent. It shows you that if you want to ride with the best, get yourself onto.
You never know who's going to turn up in those sessions.
You don't. You don't. I've had a look. I've had a little look in. Had a sneaky watch. You can watch those sessions as well if you're registered on My Wish, just to see what could be in store for you. But they do vary. All the coaches with different styles as well, which obviously makes a difference as we watch the Category 2 riders here at the moment. Mendakowicz, the rider at the back of this group with work to do. He won't want to lose the back of this pack. They're going to go over onto the causeway between the sides of the lake on the top of the Valkenberg. No lake on top of the Valkenberg in person, but it is here on My Wish. Very distinctive part of the course, which means you can identify where the riders are. They've got this flat summit before they drop down in Category 2. Category 1 are on the way in to that same section. 18.3k, the start of the climb. Category 1 at the moment, 17.4. There's a little bit of a dip before you go on to the climb. You need to use that just to get that pace and speed up on the way in. Category 1 leaders at the moment with a 12-second gap back to Mikel Plantero. He's leading the chasers behind the group on your screen on the left-hand side.
Well, Category 5, I can tell you, just gone over the Eichenberg climb. Mark Tong going over the fastest. Alexander Giraldo, Ola Warren, Arthur Sciorra and Emil Ivanov, the riders in the top 5 going over that climb. In Category 5. This is a Category 6 race at 31.8 kilometres. Dylan Kennett now has 24 seconds on the chasing group of 4.
And currently leading the climb competition. I'm going to just take back my statement that he had the fastest time up the climb, because Marius Fossaid has actually come through quicker and taken those points from him. So he's now got 5 points from that climb to Kennett's 4. It comes down, remember, it's about the overall points for the overall lead. 2 climbs complete for Category 6. The last climb for them to complete that's part of the climb classification, that is the climb of the Quermont, and that comes at 36.6k. It is a 2.2 kilometer climb, so similar in some ways to the first part of the Cortakia. It's very similar shape.
One of the riders that should watch for in Category 6 today is Roshamaraj Teron. He finished second to Kennett in Qualifier 1 on the Vessel Rock course in February, which is obviously earlier on this month. That's quite a similar course because of the nature of the climbing. I think he could go well today, but to close Kennett down is a big ask at the moment now. He's got over 25 seconds.
It's difficult, and I think Kennett is the sort of rider who will push through the finish all the way, and I can't see him backing off. He hasn't gone early with a view he's going to fade. We'll get back to him a little bit later on as we go back to the Category 1 riders here. As you can see, this group already well spread out. The leading group at 18.9k. We're in with Panizza at the moment. You saw him in person, out of the saddle, his avatar out of the saddle as well. You've got Andreasen in this mix, pulled back into the group. You can see that Thrall is in here, Panizza, Puka, Vink, Kroll. This is real who's who. The chasing riders behind a Bird at the moment, trying to close down onto Arnie Jacobs. Jacobs has lost the lead group, so has Vidar Mayer. Machado the same. Joel Lewis is further back, as is Stuart Miller. Bird with work to do. Here's a Canadian rider trying to close down Portuguese rider Machado. He's on his heels. They're now going to pick up Jacobs. The Netherlands rider gets past on this climb. He held on a little bit longer to the wheels, but now dropping back past and going to be getting to the power down, I would imagine, trying to come back if he's got anything left in the tank. But the ask, I think, too big now to come back to the leading group, right-hand side of the screen. 19.5k covered. They are really powering on. It's 400 meters of distance difference, but that is a big time gap. It's just under 30 seconds between the leaders and the chasers. There's Thrall in person on the left-hand side of your screen. The fans are blowing. He's got the screen there. He's out of the saddle. He's using that power to take him up over the top of the climb and keep the pressure on as Andreasen attacks over the top. Really wanted to make those legs sting. He doesn't let off the throttle as they go over the top. It's not just climbing, it's climbing up over and through the top of the climb that is making the difference at the moment in the race.
Well, someone always told me when I was doing a lot of fell racing in my 20s, you run over the top of the climb, you don't get to the top and draw breath. That's what wins the race, and it's exactly the same here in Belgium on the My Rouge Sunday Race Cup. Now, Ross Fawcett in the Category 2 race, right at the front of the pack here. Do you know, Fawcett, this is a good course for Ross Fawcett. We've seen him do well here before. Ike Morel in the mix as well. And I don't want to say this out loud, but I might. It's looking like we may be seeing a settling in Category 2.
So whilst we potentially maybe see a settling in Category 2 and potentially Category 1, let's give you the Eichenberg climb result. Category 4, Daniel Cadiz taking top spot in Category 4 from Simon Betts. And then there's going to be Van Zandt followed by, I think, Carlos Alberto coming through, then Haggerty, then Pino. Just taking a look in Category 3, they've just come over the top, and Bernard Wojnask went over with a slight gap from Nicol Cansara in Category 3, then Henrik Oyer immediately behind third place, then Mathias Kalman in fourth, Lewis Ridley in fifth position. That is over the top of the Eichenberg climb. Second of our three climbs to go. 6 climbs total, 3 categorized climbs. done the Quarter climb, we've done the Eichenberg climb in those categories. That just leaves us category 2 and category 1 to complete the climb. This is the run towards the summit here of this climb, but this is a little further back because at 24k, this is the Eichenberg Hill rather than the Eichenberg climb.
It's a double dastardly duo.
With a downward descending. I've run out of words today.
Matt gets caught out with his words today, but the Eichenberg Hill and the Eichenberg climb, the duo of climbs in swift succession. Then a 7.6 kilometre run to the base of the Quermont, and that is pretty much flat before you hit the Quermont. Then you descend into the Papenburg, and then it's a technical finish here to the checkered flag on the My Rouge Sunday Race Club. We are here in Belgium. 45 kilometres of racing, 492 metres of climbing, and the Category 2 race has been hot, hot, hot since the start.
You're just saying hot, hot, hot because it's cold in the studios today.
It's not as cold as it was earlier. But Christoph Freem, Simon Walter, Daniel Pinto, all at the front of the pack. We're in with Simon Walter, and I tell you something, has that chap actually sat down today on his bike, because he is up and out of the saddle. Now, interestingly, being up and out of the saddle, one of the techniques that is used a lot in cycling esports, and people say, well, people get up and out of the saddle on the road. Yes, they do, but never for a 30-minute climb at being up and out of the saddle all the time, and that they could well be indoors.
You've got to remember, they are different disciplines. Comparing indoor cycling with road cycling with mountain biking is a bit like comparing hang gliding with a propeller plane engine plane and a jet aeroplane and a helicopter. They're all blinking different because you don't have aerodynamics in esports cycling. You can be stood vertical upright, and it makes no difference. Also, you're not having to control the bike, and I think this is one of the key things. These riders are developing, aren't they? They really are putting in some real specific skills. There's no braking, there's no cornering, there's none of this controlling the bike. You think how much energy you expend controlling the bike on a big alpine downhill, or if you're on a mountain bike,
well, it's exhausting, isn't it?
You use that energy.
Anybody who's ridden down off the Tourmalet or off of Alpe d'Huez, even as an amateur or just a cycling enthusiast, it's as exhausting riding down as it is riding up.
So if you think you can put all that energy that you save from doing that because you're riding in a controlled environment, then you're going to get yourself in and you're going to be racing, and you're going to be able to race absolutely fine. Now, just taking a little bit of a look down on the screen, just keeping a check on the riders as to where they are.
Well, Dylan Kennett, currently the leader of the race overall at the moment, leading Category 6. They were the first riders out of the start pen today. He has literally just gone underneath the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the Quermont climb. So he is the first rider to hit our final categorized climb today. He'll then go through the descent and into the Papenburg. He now has over a minute on the chase group. On the left-hand side of your screen, well, we were talking about it being a family affair with 3 members of the same family across 3 different categories. In the Millerstick family, Lyndon, well, he is in Category 1, and he's gone for an attack off the front at the 24.3 kilometre marker.
Well, why not? Why not go on the attack? He's on form. He's racing well for his team. He's clearly riding at the top of his game. And because he's a young rider, still exploring what his limits are, I'm sure.
Let's just say this for our viewers. He was too young last year to qualify for the Australian national team to be represented at the World Championships, even though he was at the level where he could have qualified. So this young rider, and when we say young rider, he is under 20.
I can't wait to see what he can do if he makes it to the World Championships this year. If you want to watch the World Championships back, do make sure you jump on like, subscribe to the My Wish YouTube channel, and make sure you take a look back at the World Championships, the in-person World Championships, where My Wish brought all of the leading riders that qualified to Abu Dhabi for that in-person final, riding against each other in the same place at the same time with that live crowd. Fantastic atmosphere. Do have a watch back and watch those winning performances by Mary Kate McCarthy and Jason Osborne, our two world championships for 2024. Who will be those champions in 2025? Will it be Linda Milostic on the
Well,
left? It might be a little bit longer for Riley.
Riley, I mean, I'm talking about Lyndon being a young rider. Riley is his younger brother. And has only recently joined the Sunday Race Cup, and he's joined in category 6, and he's doing really well. He's been progressing really strongly.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the podium when he started. He didn't make the top 5. He started with the climbing and the sprint competition, and then he made the top 5. And last week he had his best ever performance. He finished 3rd in category 6 last week in Colombia. Now, Dad Peter races category 2, if you're wondering where the 3rd member of this family is.
And it's great to see people of all ages. Don't think, oh, I'm too young, I'm too old. We've got riders who are racing in their 70s, right the way down through the age categories. And don't think, oh, I'm not good enough. Jump on board, come and race. You know these are real performances by real riders. The verification, yes, you do have to jump through a number of hoops and
but they're
meet
there
those
for
steps,
a reason.
and they are there for a reason, to ascertain that you're a real person, to make sure that you've got the correct weight, that you're the right height, to
You're
make
riding
sure
the right
that you're riding
equipment.
the right equipment, and that is accurate enough to produce an accurate result. And of course, all that part of the
And
world-leading MyWhoosh verification
but
system.
you know then that every single other person on the start line has had to do
Yeah,
that as well.
exactly. Exactly, and that is really, really key. Now, Martin Trzaskowski on the climb here with Mr. X100. They've got Navarro just ahead. He's wearing the green skin suit, in fact, of category 5. So the leader of the sprints in category 5 is about to see category 2 come up and pass at the moment. The gap is there. It's 6 seconds to Schulander along with Fawcett, Volta and Co. Interesting move, stretching this gap right out here. And I think this tactic is all about making these two climbs become one. Make it a longer climb at a more gradual power rather than a sprint kick. Not the case in category 1, where Vink and Pucker have got 2 seconds over Vujasin, Kaminsky, Jones, Panizza, and Safazadi.
Well, Vink, well, look at this. It really is starting to wind up now as we head towards the 30-kilometre marker in Category 1 and Category 2. Pucker is coming, so is Thrall and Panizza. Jones, Vujasin and Tugels are all there as Michael Vink pushes on to the descent. He's utilising the descent, using the momentum to take as much pace into the climb as possible, whereas at the top of the climb, Ross Fawcett comes up and through Trojanowski, Morel, X100. Morel, Ica Morel, put in a massive dig at the top of that climb, trying to take the polka dot skin suit. But it has got, well, I was going to say it's got to be Marchan Trojanowski who took it, but it's not. That dig, that absolute commitment from Morel makes him take the fastest time in category 2 up the Eichenberg climb. He doesn't take the skin suit though, because in the points competition, well, Trojanowski.
No.
Mendakowicz.
Yep.
Mendakowicz has it. Goodness me, he took 3rd place in the Eichenberg climbing category 2, but he holds on with the points.
So Morel, Trojanowski, followed by Mendakowicz, Fawcett, and Gednes, the top 5. They scored 5 in category 2. One more climb to go. Meanwhile, in category 1, Michael Vink has gone solo. He did have company. He hasn't anymore. He has opened the gap. It's now 7 seconds back to the chasing group. Pucker has been pulled into that group, and on the run up this, the Eichenberg climb, the 3rd of the climbs, the 3 central climbs of this race, the categorized climb, Vink has opened the gap. He's got a long way to go solo, because as he drops off the end here, he will only be at 2/3 of the race distance with a long flat run to come. We know how much advantage there is having a group, having the draft. You can see it time and time again. That is going to be key. We've got an attacker in category 1 who has no draft. I suspect that's going to be Mr. X100, who is off the front. We saw him being caught on the way up the climb. But what we're seeing is a push through the descents that is taking him clear. It is indeed Mr. X100. So we saw him on that series of climbs. Once he got himself back in touch, he didn't back off. He kept that pace and power. He then dropped down, used it on the descent. It gave him sliding room. You saw him getting closed down at the end, but he's then pushed over the top into the descent. And that is one of the things that you can do here in esports, is use those descents as you could do. But remember, you don't need to have the descending skills of Tom Pidcock on the outdoors, because you don't have to get around the bends. You can use that power and get that force multiplier of gravity on the descent as well. Now, will Michael Vink power his way over? You're not going to see him sprinting over the top. He's holding a pace he can sustain. Behind him, Stefan Van Els is kicking. He's trying to take away maximum points. I think he has got 4 points. Van Els leading at the top of climb number 1. He took the points, maximum points on climb 1. Climb 2, Michael Vink gets the points, but Vink on the very first climb was not in the top 5 and didn't score any points in the climb number 1. That was the Cortakia. In climb number 2, Van Els, who took the win on climb 1, takes second place, and that gives him 9 points overall and leading the overall competition. The individual winners, though, on your screens.
Well, they are indeed on your screens, from 2 minutes 46 to 4 minutes and 4 seconds. The time up the Eichenberg climb across our 6 race categories today. And now in category 1, Michael Vink did indeed push on. And I can tell you it's a 9-second gap at the moment to Van Elst and Jones. A small gap then further back to Vuyasin Safrazadi. But at the moment, is that gap big enough? I mean, Vink is now in time trial mode. But the question is, can the others work together and utilise that draft and go faster as a group? Well, the competition may split group work in category 1, but we'll have to wait and see. X100, 5 seconds down the road from Krasnich and Trojanowski. At the moment, if he turned his head, he would see the pack coming, but the pack is stretched. Doesn't look as though there's a lot of teamwork going on there in category 2 at the moment.
So the group split in category 2, category 1 on the flatlands on the way in. Category 6 leader, this is Dylan Kennett, is our furthest rider down the road. He's down. He's so far down. He's underground. He's in the tunnels. He is subterranean at the moment because he has descended off the final climb, which is the Quermont climb, and heading down into the final climb, the Paterberg climb. He'll level out. He will have to make his way through underneath the dungeons. You can just see the water channel out to the left. There's plenty of gunpowder stored in here, ready for the fireworks that will come at the end of the tunnels as we climb out. You go up the Paterberg. Kennett at the moment at 42.2 kilometers of the 45-kilometer race. However, the group behind, there are 3 riders in the battle for second, third, and fourth places: Taron Abbott and Rizaria. We'll see whether they are going to be there. In fact, it's going to be these riders here. So Taron, Rizari, and Abbott, the 3 chasing riders behind. They are 1 minute down on Kennett, so Kennett should take away the win reasonably comfortably in this race. But the chase is on. Those riders behind, they will be wanting to push. Behind them, the category 5 riders not yet making contact. They're being led at the moment by Arias, but we got Even off in the mix and Tong as well. Category 3, 2, and 1 all on their way. Category 2 at the moment, Mr. X100 had a 5-second gap, currently got a 7-second gap. He's sitting at that same pace at the moment. Can he keep that gap clear? One man who's opening the gap, Michael Vink, left-hand side of your screen.
The Vinkinator is doing the business.
And for Justin, the nearest rider to him, I'm just looking to see what the time gap is to Jones. Jones at 17 seconds. If that is actually a full, no, it's not a full second. I was going to say, then the Justin's gone clear, but it's just holding pace. I think
Well,
the problem is once Fink goes, they all think, right, I'm going to race for second place here because if they did work together, they could pull him back, but they
but
are jeopardizing that second.
yeah, but Jones, Kaminsky, and Vuyasin are all part and parcel of the Alpha Jaw squad. You know, what a coup for the Alpha Jaw squad working together to take out Michael Vink. But I actually think, Matt, you're correct.
I was just giving that dramatic
because
pause there.
because second, third, and fourth, you know, are great performances on the My Rouge Sunday Race Club.
Yeah.
If you work together to try and close a 16, 17-second gap, and you expend all the energy to do that, do you then jeopardise second, third, and fourth, and do you then finish sixth, seventh, and eighth? And is that the quandary and the trade-off the riders are thinking about?
Yep. Thought before action if you have time.
Well, there we go. The message for today.
It is my message for today. Dylan Kennett has plenty of time for thought between him and the chasing riders, over a minute clear of the riders in category 6. He's on the right hand side of your screen. The riders just to his left are the leaders in category 5. Category 2, well, the lead is a solo lead, Mr. X100, with the gap at the moment. He's on his way. He's just done the first little riser that takes you in towards the Quermont climb. The Quermont climb is the very last categorized climb of the day. Behind him, you can see Krasnich and Downey at the moment with a little bit of a gap starting to close down, using this little climb to push on. SS closing the wheels down though, and this group pretty much together. The pressure is on, the pace is on. They want to get this gap back down again. I think they're going to pull back Mr. X100 before they reach the climb proper. He's given himself some sliding room as James Krasnick's on his way. We know he's on form. We know he can climb. We know he can do multiple climbs. If you want the full details, watch the show back from last week when we talked about the New Zealand National Championship and I think it was 6, if not 7 times up the hill there. I think it was the Claremont hill rather than the Quermont hill on that particular climb. So, Mr. X100 leading category 2. The chase is now at 5 seconds behind. That's a big bunch behind him as he continues to push. He's making each of these climbs longer. He knows his climbing strengths. He's about to hit the climb proper, but by extending this climb, by pushing out early, he's racing to his strengths. He's using those strengths to try and keep that gap opened up, to push out and to give himself the distance. One man who's got lots of distance between him and the chase behind Dylan Kennett on the right hand side of your screen. He's climbed the Paterberg, the last of the big climbs of the day. He's got a right turn, a slight rise up, which is the last vertical ascent he'll have to do. Then it will sweep to the left and he'll see that UCI banner on the other side of the portcullis gateway. And that is part of the medieval defences of our race finish today. Behind him, you can see your bottom left-hand side of your screen. Those are our Category 5 leaders. They are currently sitting behind the chasers in Category 6. We're going to take a look back to the chase in Category 2 at the moment. But Marcin Trzaskowski going with James Krasnich, Andrew Downey in pursuit of Mr. X100. They are on to the climb here. So this is the big Quermont climb. And this is the run up. It's a stepped climb. It's a 2-stage climb. You've got a little bit of a platform in between the first and second step, but it is only a brief respite for the riders in Category 2. And Michael Vink steadily making his way through those Category 2 riders as well. Right-hand side of your screen, Dylan Kennett at the moment leading the race at the moment on the road. He's on the climb. The final ascent, the final few meters, it's not a categorized climb by any stretch of the imagination. If you're trying to sprint in, it would take your legs apart in a blink. However, for Kennett, he can afford to pace himself comfortably to the finish and enjoy this. He goes underneath the gateway very shortly. In fact, here it is. So right-hand side of your screen, this is going to be your race winner today. Dylan Kennett goes under the portcullis. He's opened the time gap. He's on the run in. He's going to make his way into the finish. It is the final qualifier for February for 2025. It is race number 3 for February. And your winner coming over the line, Dylan Kennett, in category 6, wins the mountains category and wins the race.
Well, the race is on behind in category 6 because Abbott and Teron are battling neck and neck for second and third. But the category 5 race is going to go up and over the top. And Skiora and Ivanov, well, they are there with Motmans. Anderson 3 seconds back now, but Ivanov and Skiora are battling it out in category 5. Emil Ivanov on the front, Arta Skiora on wheel 2, but the gap is starting to open and Ivanov is going clear. What can be done behind? Well, the answer is nothing, and Emil Ivanov takes the win in category 5 today.
So he takes the win ahead there of Skiora and Co, who are racing in to the finish. Ivanov followed by Sikora, followed by Motmans, and then Tong. In category 5, the overall mountain competition taken by Giraldo's. Category 4 come in towards the line.
They do indeed, and Christopher Morgan and Nick Squilari are neck and neck, side by side, wheel by wheel, as we're in with Squilari. He's on the screen at the moment. He's in P1 as the banner comes. Nick Squilari's going to take the win today in Belgium in category 4. Christopher Morgan's going to take second place. Squilari, great job.
Great riding by him again. I tell you something, the Morgan Squilari battles are fantastic. So Squilari taking the win from Morgan in category 4. Category 6, so we can bring in the top 5 riders. Dylan Kennett coming in first place ahead of Drew Abbott in second. Then it's going to be Roshanros Teron in third. Then for Amida in 4th and Llewellyn in 5th.
Well, coming in thick and fast at the moment are our race categories here in Belgium, because Nicol Kansara is leading the charge with Adam Stenman and Bernard Washnos, as well as they are so close behind. They are coming in hot at the moment because Patrick Karlstrom, Lewis Ridley and Mark Santo are also in the mix at the moment. They've got 800 meters to go until they see the banner. This is a long run from Adam Stenman, but he's pushed on. Who is going to go with him? Has he gone too early? How is this going to play out? Well, we will shortly find out here in Belgium. The riders are coming back up on to the leaders at the moment, and the kick has gone.
So here we go. This is the run around this left turn. The rise continues until it straightens out. Wojnos leading. Ridley starting to wind up here with Stenman and Robinson coming as well. So with the polka dot skin suit, it is Wojnos. Behind with the multicolored cap is Ridley. The black helmet is that of Stenman. These 3 riders at the moment have this race lead, but riders could come from behind. There's a big queue behind. It's about getting that timing right in the running. Wojnos, Stenman and Ridley. Now Karlstrom is coming. Watch the kick from Karlstrom at 8 watts per kilo. Can he close this gap down? They're winding on the front. Have they left this too late to get the kick in? You can just see Karlstrom is coming. At the moment, it's Ridley from Stenman. Stenman's overtaken him. Has Stenman done it in the last moment? I think he has. I think that is going to be Stenman from Wojnos, from Ridley, from Karlstrom and Velez.
Well, Matt calls the order correct. In that category 3 race, it was seriously close. Half a second separated the top 4 riders in category 3 today here in Belgium. We're in with category 1 and category 2, and at the moment X100's lead, I think, is nearly over, because Ross Fawcett is leading the charge behind. Michael Vink on the left hand side of your screen, well, he's extending his gap at the moment. He's at 38.4 kilometers. He's on the Quermont coming towards the top, and the gap, well, I'm not sure what the gap is now in terms of seconds, but you cannot see those riders on the screen.
No, he's one to really open that gap up. This is the gap back from Mr. X100 looking back on this descent. Very quickly going to bring you a few more of the results overall. In category 4, Nick Squilari, as we saw, taking the win from Christopher Morgan. Behind him, Luke Allport, that we saw on your screens earlier, taking 3rd place. Joshua Haggerty taking fourth, and it's going to be Matteo Pino taking fifth position. Great riding by them in category 4. Category 3, 2, and 1. Well, category 3 we've seen come through. Category 2, the race is on the right hand side of your screen. Category 1, race on your left there. We're back in with category 2. This is about the run now down this descent. Getting the pacing right between here and the finish is going to be key. Let's take a look at your winners in each of the category on the Quermont climb. Vink leading up there with the fastest time, using that to his advantage, 4 minutes and 12 seconds. But he's just been beaten into second place minimum by Stefan Van Elst. Van Elst, the Iceman. Well, he's absolutely flying. He goes up the Quermont climb. He takes away top spot. And in fact, it's Van Elst in 1, Kaminski in 2, Fajasin in 3, Jones in 4, and Safasadi in 5, Tugels in 6.
Pucker's gone through quicker as well. So actually,
Yep.
Michael Vink now in 9th position up the climb. The chasing pack are climbing quicker.
Will they close down the gap enough? While it's a big gap to keep closed down, you can see Vink on this descent are using his speed to keep the pace high, as we see Mr. X100 using the draft to come through. These riders trying to get some rest in before they go on to the final climb here. Resting at the right time is as important as pushing at the right time. This is about the kicking. Can he stay clear? The big pack will be coming, and we have seen Nicol Cansara, great indication. Cansara was over the top of the Paterberg at the front of the race in his category, but he ended up in 11th, if not 12th place. This is going to be really, really key. What can the group behind do? Morel, Gednes, along with Janicki, etc. They have got to keep on working here. They need to pull this gap back, force it in as well. This is really, really key.
Well, it is indeed key, and it is going to be a huge push on the front pack here, because they are going to want to close this gap down. But has X100 done enough to stay clear? Trojanowski is going to push here. Graves is going to try and go with him. These 3 riders now on the right-hand side of your screen. Well, they're 250 meters back down the road at the moment. But look at the line. Look at the names. SS Downey, Walter, Fawcett, Graves, Trojanowski, Glednes. Glednes has taken a number of wins over the last few weeks. He's going to want to be in the mix, but have they left it too late?
This is going to be a real pursuit up this climb, and interestingly, we're in with SS here. He's a rider who sprints well, he climbs well, and he has been relatively quiet this race because his teammate has been down the road. The UAE clan team here have sent Mr. X100 down the road. He's gone down the road. The riders behind are into the right-hand turn at the base of the climb. They're going to have to climb up, and this is where they need to pull something special out. They might have a higher peak. SS currently at 10.6 watts there with a massive kick, because he knew as we came onto this climb, you've got to be kicking down hard to keep on pushing, to push up and through. And at the moment, that's exactly what he's doing. Ike Morel, Downey answering. Trojanowski is doing the same. So's Fawcett. Here they go. The engines haven't just been started. They've got the foot on the throttle, and it's all the way down to the floorboard here. The gas has been turned on, and this is where the kick counts. Be in this group or be out of the back and not in contention.
Well, we said the Paterberg was an absolutely crucial part of the course, and it's playing out that way in category 2 today. Coinston and Morel are all in the mix. Fawcett and Mendakowicz. That's X100 on your screen on the left. He's on the right, in or with those yellow wheels. He is about to get swamped. Ike Morel in the polka dot skin suit coming up onto the wheels of X100. He gave himself sliding room. He knew he was going to need it because this pack were coming. Krasnich, Glednes, we said he's been on the top spot a number of times recently. He's going to want another top spot today, but this could well be a sprint finish in category 2.
Mr. X100 continues the pace that he carried up the climb onwards here. He was sitting at pace. SS is on his wheel here. This is now for the rest of the riders about battling the UAE clan team lead out here, because you've got 2 on the front, Mr. X100 and SS. Then it is going to be Gednes. You can see Dadson's in there, Mendakowicz, Krasnich, Koisten, and Morel is in. you cannot discount any of these riders at the moment because they are making the way onto the wheels. Right hand turn here. This is going to be key. This is about the turn. Now we're going to see who is going to get the time in, who will blink first. Gednes just eases off the wheels. He went to 0.8 there. He didn't want to put the kick in. He was waiting to accelerate. SS now at 8.5, 9 watts per kilos. Here he goes. SS has kicked first. He's gone early. Mr. X100 is behind, but what can they do? This is the run round the turn. You've got to get the straight to run correct, though. This is key. SS went with the kick down the straight here. Has he opened up enough of a gap? He hasn't. They are right behind him. Now, here comes the riser. Who's got the power on the riser? Nobody wants to kick too early.
Well,
this turn will be key.
It will do indeed, and Ike Morel just took a breath, but the push is now coming. Graham's Krasnich winds it up, so just force it. Trojanowski's gone at 11 watts per kilo. He is sprinting up the climb, and so is Ike Morel. He's in the polka dot skin suit at the moment, and he's launched his effort at 12 watts per kilo. Mendakowicz is just shy of 11. Trojanowski was going to want the win today, but Mendakowicz is going to fight him for it, and I think Ike Morel is going to go too. Who is going to get this? This is going to be so close. They've got 400 meters, 300 meters. Trojanowski's leading it out. SS, Morel, and Mendakowicz are all there. Force it, I think, is possibly out of this now. But Trojanowski is going to lead it out today. That's the UCI banner. Is he going to make it, or is Ike Morel going to come up and over the top? Morel is coming, so is SS. Will he stay there? Oh, that was so close. On the line, SS took that from Trojanowski, from Morel, from